Hi everyone, today I'll be doing the Forge, which is a medium type machine from HackTheBox, and yeah, let's jump right into it. First, as always, we start off with an Nmap. It takes some time, so I already ran it, but the script that we're gonna run is nmap sc for default scripts, sv for, to enumerate versions, and on to output a normal format called nmap, and we are gonna run it on IP 10.10.11.1011. So this takes time, so I already ran it and I save it here. And as you can see, there is 3 ports opened. First one is 21, which is FTP, and it says it's filtered because there is some kind of firewall or some kind of network obstacle that's filtering the packets being sent from Nmap. There is 22, which is SSH, and port 80, which is HTTP. Now here it says follow redirect to http forge.htb, and if we go to Firefox and go to 10.10.11 1011, we can see that it can't connect, but it follows the redirect to force.htb, which means that it can't resolve the host, the DNS. So we have to add it to our etc hosts file. So 10.10.11.1011, and we add forge.htb. And now if we refresh and without HTTPS, as you can see, we can access the website normally. Now, there is some things I usually do before proceeding to examine the website. I like to run the GoBuster scan, dir-u, which is for directory mode to brute force the web directories, -u to specify where we wanna brute force. I'm gonna forge.htb, -w for word list. We're gonna use opt, seclists, discovery, web content, raft, small words, .txt. There is one thing I want to note is that sometimes you can find interesting web directories on the web server typing index that, for example, PHP. So now if this would return the same result, we would know that it's a PHP website, and then yeah, we could add that extension. Or it could be HTML. This time it's nothing. As you can see, it finds nothing. And if we type index, also nothing happens. So uh, but yeah, we can add the -x, for example, PHP, HTML, like that. That's just an example. This time we don't need it. And another thing I like to run while the GoBuster is running, I like to enumerate subdomains. I'm gonna use the tool called the wfuzz, -c for color, -w, and then we're gonna specify the which one we want to use. I'm gonna use discovery, DNS, subdomains, top million, this one, and then -u for the URL we want to fuzz, which is gonna be http forge.htb, and then we're gonna specify the header. So basically, it's a get request header, and we are gonna on the host header because that's where we should use to enumerate subdomains. And the word fuzz means that we are gonna fuzz, that we are basically fuzzing the subdomains. And if we type forge.htb, and then we can see that now um, it's gonna fuzz subdomains from this word list. And there is hide word 26 that I'm gonna explain now why I added it, because if we run the script, I'm gonna stop it, and as you can see, there is a lot of things that we don't need, right? We don't need 302 responses. We only need valid ones like 200. So all of these that we don't need, which are invalid, have the word length of 26, and that's why I added -hw to hide words that are a length of 26. So now that that's running, as you can see, we already have one that's called admin.forge.htb. But yeah, let's examine the site a bit while these two scripts are running. Tools. We have an upload an image section where we can upload local file or we can upload forum URL. So basically upload local file with there is nothing really we can do about here, but we have upload from URL, which is interesting. Now, um, basically what we're gonna do is first we're gonna check the scripts that we ran. As you can see now it has uploads and upload. Basically if we upload, let's say I have a test picture, and if we upload it, we can see that it gets uploaded to forge.htp uploads, and then it's basically a link. So if we open the link, we can see this is the test image that I usually like to upload. Um, but yeah, that's it. As you can see, we can really go to folders like directory, I mean uploads, because yeah, we can't access that. And we can access the files, which are random strings when we upload. But if you go to upload from URL, we can actually access the internal stuff, which is basically a vulnerability in this case. As you can see, the FTP, which we have to remember, is also filtered, but it works and it's on internal side. I'm gonna stop this because GoBuster really didn't find anything later. But we have the WFS, which enumerated admin.forge.htb. So if we go to http admin.forge.htb, now obviously we can't even access it because we haven't added it to our hosts file. So we're gonna do that now. See hosts. And then we're gonna add it next to forge.htb. So admin.forge.htb. Gonna save that. And if we try to without secure, only local host is allowed. So basically, this is also a subdomain that's on internal site. So what we can do is we can test upload from URL basically. If we do HTTP, so let's say we want to access the admin.forge.htb. Usually, um, yeah, URL contains a blacklisted address, it says. So basically how this works is probably there is a list that has blacklisted things that we can, as a user that's not on the local host, can access. And basically, I'm gonna explain this right now. So admin.forge.htb is probably in a list from being accessible from this search parameter, from this search query. And basically, bypass is really easy. It's just all capital letters admin.forge.htb, sorry, HTTP, because in the list that's probably made for blocking from us connecting to or like querying the website is because there is admin.forge.htb but in lowercase. But the blacklist, in blacklist there is no capital letter or any letter check. So if we go into our uh, search bar, we can type in HTTP and then all capitals forge.admin.forge.htb. And if we submit, we can see file uploaded successfully. And if we check the link, it says the image blah 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 cannot be displayed because it contains errors. Now, the errors are because it's not properly displayed. So we gotta use curl in this example to, oops, go capital curl, and then we're gonna basically curl this request. And now we can see something very interesting. It says title admin portal. So basically we bypassed the blacklisted check from here. So we can see admin portal, portal home, and then we have announcements tab, which we can probably check from that URL again, and it says welcome admins. So we're gonna check that again. So HTTP admin, oops, capital to bypass forge.htb, and then we're gonna add the announcement. So if we submit, we get another link, which means it's working, and obviously we need to curl this. So I'm just gonna clear the screen, curl this one, and as you can see, we are now in announcements tab. And here it says an internal FTP server has been set up with credentials as, so here are the credentials for the FTP exposed, and we were right about internal FTP, which we scanned with Nmap, which was filtered, and we were right that it was internal. The upload endpoint now supports FTP, which is pretty good. FTPS, HTTP, and HTTPS protocols for uploading from URL. And the upload endpoint has been configured for easy scripting of uploads. And for uploading an image, one can simply pass a URL with U parameter. Now, this is pretty good because now we can, what we can do is basically we have already we have the credentials and for the FTP, but we can't access the FTP because it's on internal side. But the as somebody stated here, the upload endpoint has parameter u that can specify a URL. So what we can do is we can do HTTP and then go to again admin.forge.htb and now slash upload because upload section has been configured with the u parameter to specify the URL we want. So what we can do here is basically we can access the internal FTP using the FTP colon slash slash, and then we can do now we can actually log in with provided credentials like this. So we can do here, we can paste them, as you can see, FTP colon slash slash, and then the user colon the password, and at forge.htb. Now here we also have to specify the uppercase letters to bypass that same thing. So if we submit, we can see the file uploaded successfully, and if we curl this again, curl, we can see it displayed the contents of basically FTP directory. So as you can see, there is a user.txt which we can easily grab by doing the same thing, http admin.forge.htb slash uploads, and then add the u parameter for URL ftp slash slash. We're gonna use again the credentials and at forge.htb. And then we can do slash user.txt because basically when we did it without the user txt, when we did it like this, it basically displayed the whole what we navigated to basically. That pretty much is that. So what we can do is we can specify the user.txt and it should show us that. So user.txt, and if we submit, we can see it's working. We got a link, and if we curl that link again, we can see that it's not working. Don't know why is that. Let me try again. HTTP admin.forge.htb slash uploads with the URL parameter. This is wrong uploads. There we go. And then FTP slash slash. Use the credentials again. At forge.htb and then slash user.txt. And we got a link again. So I'm just gonna open it, scroll that. Okay, now it works. I don't know what happened here. Probably some mistake. I didn't notice. Probably a typo, and then we see there is a user.txt flag. Okay, next thing, so what we can do from here. So we can't upload anything, but we can read pretty much almost any file that's on the FTP. So basically, what we can do here is, if you think about it logically, user.txt is always in the users folder. So basically home slash some kind of user. In this case, we already know because of the FTP credentials that it's user, and then user.txt. So basically, what we can do here, FTP server is basically on this users um, home directory. So we can do so on Linux machines. You have always SSH keys stored in their home user directory. So what we can do is we can search for home user and then .ssh. They're always in SSH directory, and ID RSA, which is a private key for SSH logging in. So what we can do here is basically we can probably get that. So HTTP again. So again, same thing. Admin.forge.htb slash uploads, and then we add the URL parameter, FTP colon slash slash. We're gonna copy this again at forge.htb, and then we are gonna do what I explained earlier, so ssh slash id rsa. And if we submit, we get a link. And if we curl this, we exposed basically an SSH private key. So I'm just gonna navigate to my box forge directory, and here I'm gonna save this private key. So I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna do sudo nano id rsa, and then I'm gonna paste it here. Now it's pasted. Now we have that private SSH key. Also to log in with that SSH key, we gotta uh, change the permissions. Chmod 600 ID RSA. Now we can log in. So SSH-I to specify the private key, and then user at 10.10.11.11,000. Now this doesn't work because I have to add sudo, and I am on the machine. So that's how you get the user access. So now next thing is privilege escalation to root. So usually what I like to do is sudo-l to check which permissions we can run, which things we can run as sudo. So basically here says that we can run Python 3 and auto remote manage.py, which is basically a script, some kind of script we can run. So I'm gonna navigate to that directory, and if we check, that script is there, so we can cut that script and see what it's doing. So it has some imports, import PDB, which I'm gonna explain later. This is gonna basically be our privilege escalation, and then we have it's gonna choose random port between these two, and it's gonna assign it to port. Here we have created the script creates a socket on the local host and adds that random port that it selected. And it's basically we can connect to that socket using this password. And if that password is wrong, it's just gonna say wrong password. All this is in a try block, and there is an accept statement also. So basically, when we log in, we need to add secret admin password to log in, and then it's gonna prompt us it with a while through loop, so infinite loop. That's gonna ask us what do you wanna do, and it's gonna put out 4 options. View processes, which is gonna basically, it says here, if option 1, it's gonna use psaux, which is basically a Linux command to show running processes, and so on and so on. What's interesting about this script is that there is this PDB, and it's running a try block, and if something unintended happens, it's gonna throw us an exception error. This is called Python exception handling, and it's gonna print E, which is basically it's gonna print uh, the error, and then PDB that postmortem. Now PDB is basically, now if we do the google.com, sorry, google.com, and if we search for Python PDB, now, it's basically, we can see the module PDB defines an interactive source code debugger for Python programs. So basically, it's an interactive debugger. And if you think logically, this script can be ran as sudo with sudo privileges. So what we have to do is we have to uh, break this script somehow, this part of the script, break it, and then it's gonna throw us into an exception, which is gonna pretty much give us an interactive debugger in Python. So to do that, we're gonna run the script as sudo. Um, like this, I'm just gonna copy the full path. We're gonna do sudo and run the script. And as you can see, listening on localhost 2469, and that's the random port that it's selected. So to connect to the local host, we're gonna have to SSH another time, one more time. So if you go ctf forge We have the IDRSA sudo ssh-i IDRSA user 10.10.10.11 because I already ran that. So terminal remembered. We can see now we are in the machine again, and now it's running on localhost and port 2469. So what we can do is we can first off check if the box has netcat, and indeed it has netcat, so we are gonna use it to connect to that port. So nc, it says localhost, so that's basically our loopback address, which is 127.0.0.1, and the port is 2469. And indeed it works. We connected to that socket made by Python script, and it says enter the secret password. And if we recall from the script, it says we have to put in secret admin password. That's the password. So secret admin password. And it says welcome admin. Now, what do you want to do? So basically, uh, here we can break the script to get us into that interactive debugger. From PDB. So basically, to break it, it's really just type in anything and it's broken. But if we check on this, as you can see, we are in PDB. Now this is Python debugger. And remember, this is running as root. So what we can do is we can try. So the normal commands like who am I to check who am I, it's not going to work. Like id, ls, it's nothing going to work because this is after all, this is Python. This is not Bash. So Bash shell. So logically thinking, we can run Python basically because it's a debugger. So we can try to import OS, and as you can see, it works. It doesn't throw any errors at us. So we can do os.system, which is basically a command to call system command. So we are gonna do bin bash, and as you can see, we are now root. And if we do id, you can see that we are root, and who am I, you can see we are also root. So what we can do is cd into root directory and cat root.txt, and this is the root flag. So basically that's it for this box. I think it was pretty fun because I've never seen this kind of privilege escalation using Python debugger, which is pretty interesting. It wasn't so hard to find, but I liked it. It's a different one than I usually come across. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you learned something. And obviously this is my first time doing this, so if I said anything incorrectly, just correct me. I'll pin that comment. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, see ya.